So, it is a rarity. I release tube videos within a week besides my, Lego ones when they interfere with a standard video for two a week. But, I guess this is my exception, so this week I'm gonna have three videos. Because I saw Doctor Strange too. And I sure do have thoughts on it. And it's a big new release, so I figured I'd cover it. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about Doctor Strange 2. What did I think about it? Well, it was okay. There were good parts and there were iffy parts. It wasn't a great movie. Let's talk about the good first. Here I think Doctor Strange is a compelling enough protagonist. I love the question that is prefaced throughout the entire film. And I do love its importance it carries, even though at first you don't necessarily know it's going to carry that much importance. So yeah, that was cool. But yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not spoiling right now. So, yeah, that was great. I think the fight scenes are cool overall. There's one particularly, like the second to last major fight scene. From what I remember, yeah, that one was pretty cool. There's cool use of music in it. So if people have seen it, that'll tell them what it is. But yeah, there's cool use of the music in it and everything. It's a fun fight scene. Overall, the acting is pretty solid for the most part. I think the weakest one's probably Elizabeth Olsen. I don't think she's great as Wanda overall. So yeah, it's probably partially just that. I think is a problem with it. There's some cool cinematography in here. The score is overall good, even if a little forgettable. Overall, it's solid. Wanda's an okay villain overall. I don't care for her character much, so I didn't care for her as a villain. But she is, even with sympathetic parts, very much the villain of the movie. And I am glad they're not beating around the bush this time, like they have before. So that was pretty successful with me. Yeah, and there's some fun parts to this one. Overall, it's a solid time, but negatives wise, the film is an incoherent, messy mess. It doesn't make sense a lot of the times. It's way too fast. A lot of things don't really tie together. It's like it's taped together by duct tape. It's not really coherent in any way. A lot of things don't get solved or just randomly pop out of nowhere. There's a conclusion for something that wasn't even part of the movie, etc., etc. All of it just really doesn't make sense at points, and that frustrated me too. I was not a big fan of that. But yeah, it's whatever. But yeah, it's messy, incoherent mess. It's almost what I was worried about with Spider-Man. I thought Spider-Man was going to be a messy, incoherent mess that was tackling way too much. That's what this movie was. That is exactly what this movie was. It was incoherent. It was messy. It's formulaic, etc., etc. Sam Raimi does bring some difference to it. He does bring some creative influence, but it is very muted. It is cool. It is different somewhat, but I don't know. It's Sam Raimi, but muted. It's not just straight up Sam Raimi. It's not like Spider-Man, for example, where it's like full on. There are some cool horror sequences, and it does get violent, which I was glad about both of those. But overall, it still feels very muted, and I was disappointed in that overall. I was disappointed in that aspect. It wasn't as brimming or violent as I thought it was going to be. It was disappointing to say the least. But yeah, it's overall a solid enough film. Oh, also the colors They do look different than the standard dark gray a lot of these movies employ, but I still didn't think it was super colorful or anything. It was basically, instead of dark gray, just light brown instead. It was just a different palette of one color oversaturating a bunch of other colors. It was still like it had a big filter on it. It was weird. It's weird how these movies look most of the time. It's still not as colorful as movies like Guardians of the Galaxy or like Thor Ragnarok, or what the upcoming Thor looks to be. But yeah, it's overall fine movie. It's like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Not great, but it's not terrible. I am seeing it again upcoming. If I have any new thoughts that I change, I will update them there. I'll probably make like a shorts thing about it. I don't know. Maybe just do it on my Instagram. I don't know. Maybe not. If not, I'll talk about it at the end of the year. Or at the beginning of next year with the ranking of all comic book movies of the year. Because I do plan on making that a yearly thing. But, yeah, 6, 7 out of 10. But now I want to get into some spoilers. Because there is some big stuff to talk about overall. But yeah, so spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start off with the Illuminati. And I was very frustrated with how they handled that. At first, I was pretty excited because I thought it was a decent idea to tackle, and I was glad they were tackling it. But it gets really stupid really quick. They're mostly in here just for shock value. There's no inherent reason for them to be here. They could be removed, and the movie would be practically unchanged. They show up, and you're like, "Oh, cool! It's Professor X," or "Oh, cool! It's John Krasinski, it's Reed Richards, etc., etc." It's cool at first, but then they mostly get killed, or all of them get killed with like less than 5 minutes of screen time. Like, okay, it's a Doctor Strange movie, I get that, but then why include them in the first place? Like, some of the kills were kind of inventive. Like, I like the idea of how Black Bolt is killed, how his mouth is sealed, and then he blows his own head, like, blows up his own brain and stuff. That's a decently cool concept for a kill for him. If it wasn't that he was introduced just for, like, 5 seconds and then just killed. Like, it's stupid. The way Reed Richards is killed, Mr. Fantastic, is decently inventive, but then again, it's just a waste. Same thing with Captain Carter's kill too. I think that one's kind of cool, and Professor X. I think all of them are, besides Illuminati Captain Marvel. I think all of them are interesting, besides Maria's death, but it's just a waste of those characters. It's not. I wish they had served a purpose since they're already here, or better yet, just weren't included at all. Like I said, they, in my opinion, didn't contribute anything to the plot. But, yeah. Them I thought were wasted. Otherwise, like I brought up earlier, the question of, are you happy? I like how that plays an important part. How it actually comes into effect later. That's cool. I like, it is so on the nose, but I still overall like how the ending is with Wanda and stuff. I do find that interesting, even though, like I said, it's really on the nose. I brought up earlier the musical fight with the notes and stuff. It was a little bit disorienting at first, but I think it's the most inventive fight in the film. It's cool to actually have the score be a part of the fight instead of just background music for the fight. That's cool. I like that. I quite enjoyed that. That was cool. Yeah, and overall the fights are solid. It was, like I said, it was surprisingly violent. Like with those Illuminati kills, even if I thought they were wasted potential, they were still pretty violent for the most part. A lot more violent than I was expecting them to go. With the Gargantos, I believe it is, the giant eye monster, how it gets killed by the whatever it's called, being shoved through its eye and the eye being pulled out and stuff. Like, that was surprisingly violent. Like, I've seen that in a few movies, like the Suicide Squad does that, for example, with Starro. They stab it through the eye and stuff. But that's an R-rated movie. This is a PG-13 one. I was surprised. I was kind of floored by that at first. But in overall, the film does open solid. I like the opening quite a bit. It sends you right into the action, but it just falls off once you meet Wanda. It just gets so messy and convoluted. Yeah, the plot is so messy. It's like it's too short, so stuff's just moving too fast. But yeah, it was. But yeah, like I said, too messy and stuff. But I think that's what I have to cover with the spoiler section. So yeah. With that out of the way, that's it for this video. Hope to see y'all later. Peace out.